Have you ever wondered, what is the one regret every man carries in silence? It isn't about money, it isn't about fame, it isn't even about lost opportunities in his career. According to Carl Jung, the deepest regrets are rarely visible on the surface. They don't shout, they whisper. They live in the unconscious, shaping our lives from the shadows. And perhaps the most powerful of these hidden regrets comes after losing a woman who was not ordinary, not replaceable, but rare. Jung believed that in every man lives a silent yearning, the anima, the inner feminine soul image. This anima appears through dreams, desires, and through the women a man encounters in his life. Most women pass by like reflections in a mirror, but sometimes a man meets one who awakens something far deeper. She doesn't just attract him, she mirrors his soul. She makes him see himself with new eyes. She pulls him out of his narrow ego into a larger, more mysterious world. This woman is rare, and if he loses her, consciously or unconsciously, the wound never fully heals. Think about it. Most men live behind armor, work, pride, distractions. They convince themselves that they can always find someone else, that nothing is permanent, that moving on is strength. But deep down, the psyche knows when something irreplaceable has been lost. Carl Jung wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." That transformation is what the rare woman brings. She is not just a companion. She is a force of transformation. She awakens creativity, passion, vulnerability, even fear. She brings light into the hidden corners of his unconscious. And when she is gone, the man carries not just the memory of her, but the shadow of the man he could have been with her. This is the hidden regret Jung points toward. It is not simply missing someone. It is the deep, aching awareness that he let something sacred slip away because of immaturity, because of fear, because he did not recognize her worth when she was present. It is only in hindsight that the truth stings. He did not lose just a woman. He lost a mirror to his soul. This is why so many men stay silent about this regret. Outwardly, they appear strong, unaffected, even careless. But in their dreams, in their quiet moments, in the loneliness that creeps between achievements, this loss speaks. It says, "You met the rare woman. You were given a chance to awaken, and you let her go." And for many men, that is a burden heavier than failure, heavier than rejection, heavier than defeat. Because careers can be rebuilt, money can be earned again. But the rare woman, the one who aligns with his unconscious in ways he cannot explain, once lost, is almost never found again. Carl Jung often emphasized that the unconscious is not a place we can escape. What we repress always returns, through dreams, through symbols, through sudden waves of nostalgia that pierce the heart. The regret of losing the rare woman is exactly this, a memory that keeps returning, reminding him of what he could have lived, but chose not to. And this regret is not loud. It is hidden. It is buried in the shadows of masculinity. But it is always there. Why do men only recognize the value of the rare woman when she is already gone? Carl Jung would say it is because of the shadow, the unconscious side of ourselves that we try to deny, but which silently controls much of our behavior. Every man carries this shadow. His pride, his fears, his unresolved wounds, his hidden insecurities. And when he meets a rare woman, the one who reflects his soul, his shadow rises to the surface. Instead of embracing her gift, many men push her away. They avoid the depth she brings. They fear the vulnerability she demands. They mistake her love for weakness, her presence for something replaceable. The shadow whispers, "You don't need her. You can always do better. Don't lose control." And so, out of fear of being truly seen, a man lets her slip away. But time has a cruel way of revealing truth. Months or years later, the memory of her begins to return. At first, it is subtle, a passing thought, a dream, a moment of nostalgia. But soon it deepens. He remembers not only her face, her voice, her laughter, he remembers how he was different when she was near. More alive, more inspired, more vulnerable, but also more real. This realization burns with regret, because by then, she is gone. And in Jungian terms, she has become an archetype within him. She is no longer just a woman. She is now the anima figure, a symbolic image that represents his inner feminine soul. Jung taught that the anima is a man's guide to the unconscious. She appears in dreams, myths, and relationships as a figure who leads him to wholeness. But if he rejects her in real life, the psyche does not forgive so easily. The anima retreats and leaves him with emptiness. This is why Jung wrote that unintegrated anima can lead to bitterness, obsession, and endless longing. The man keeps chasing relationships, achievements, or distractions, but nothing feels as alive as what he once had. He tries to silence the regret with work, with new partners, with the noise of the world. Yet the unconscious never forgets. There is a story Jung once told about a patient, a successful man haunted by dreams of a mysterious woman he had loved in his youth but abandoned out of fear. Decades later, even after marriage, children, and accomplishments, he could not shake her presence from his dreams. Jung explained that this was not just memory, it was the psyche reminding him of the path he refused to walk. And this is the silent suffering many men carry. They do not confess it, they do not show it. But deep down, the loss of the rare woman becomes a private prison. Think of it this way. When a man loses an opportunity in work, life gives him another. When he loses money, he can rebuild. But when he loses the rare woman, the one aligned with his soul, it is not just a personal loss, it is a symbolic death of possibility. And most men realize this truth only when it is too late. When a man loses a rare woman, he often thinks time will heal the wound. He believes new love, new goals, or simple distraction will erase her memory. But Carl Jung would disagree. Jung warned that what we push into the unconscious does not disappear. It waits, and it returns, often when we least expect it. The first way regret returns is through dreams. A man may dream of her walking away, or he may see her face in unfamiliar places. Sometimes she appears not as herself, but as a symbol, a stranger with her eyes, a goddess-like figure, a fleeting vision that vanishes just before he can reach her. Jung would say, "This is not just nostalgia, this is the anima reminding him of what he lost." Dreams become the hidden theater where his regret plays endlessly. They do not let him escape. Instead, they demand he face what he tried to bury. The second way regret returns is through new relationships. On the surface, he moves on. He meets someone new. He tells himself he has let go. But deep down, he begins comparing. Not consciously, perhaps, but unconsciously. He notices how laughter doesn't feel the same, how silence feels heavier, how something is missing, even if he cannot name it. Jung believed that the psyche projects the anima onto women in a man's life. This means he will keep searching for the rare woman in others. And the more he searches, the more he feels the weight of her absence. This is why many men, even after years of new relationships, still speak of the one that got away. Because in truth, she never left their unconscious. The third way regret returns is through life choices. A man may find himself wondering, what if I had stayed? What if I had grown instead of running? What if I had chosen courage instead of fear? These what-ifs eat at him, not as simple regrets, but as heavy shadows. Jung explained that these unchosen paths form part of the shadow self, the version of us we never lived, but which continues to haunt us. So every time he makes a decision, there is a silent echo of the rare woman in the background, a reminder of the life that slipped away. This is the most painful part. The regret doesn't just remain as a memory of her. It becomes woven into the man's identity. He begins to measure himself not just by who he is, but by who he could have been had he embraced the love she offered. And Jung warned, if a man refuses to face this regret honestly, it can twist into bitterness. It can make him cynical, closed off, distrustful of intimacy. Instead of learning from the wound, he lets it poison his soul. But if he dares to face it, if he acknowledges the truth of what was lost, then this regret can become something else, a doorway to transformation. So what happens next? A man has lost her. The rare woman is gone. The regret has carved its mark into his unconscious. Does he live forever haunted, chained to what he cannot change? Carl Jung would say, not if he has the courage to face himself. The first step: confronting the shadow. Jung believed that healing begins by confronting the shadow, the part of us that caused the loss in the first place, the pride that refused to bend, the fear of intimacy, the wounds left unhealed from childhood. When a man dares to admit, "I pushed her away because I was afraid, I was not ready to be seen," he begins the process of growth. The shadow, once denied, now becomes integrated. Instead of being his enemy, it becomes his teacher. The second step: honoring the anima. The rare woman, in Jung's view, does not vanish entirely. She transforms into the anima, his inner guide to the depths of his soul. This means she still lives within him, not as a haunting ghost, but as a voice calling him to wholeness. If he continues to chase her outside, in other women, in endless distractions, he will remain trapped. But if he turns inward and honors the qualities she awakened in him, vulnerability, creativity, compassion, authenticity, then her presence becomes eternal. She is no longer the woman he lost. She becomes the soul he discovers. The third step: transformation through pain. Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." The regret of losing the rare woman is a wound, but like all wounds, it can heal into wisdom. A man who truly reflects on his loss may become more honest, more humble, more capable of love than he ever was before. The pain becomes a guide, not a curse. And in this transformation, he may discover something extraordinary. He cannot bring her back, but he can become the man who would never lose her again. The silent redemption. Here lies the paradox Jung leaves us with. The rare woman may be gone forever, but her absence can become the very reason a man awakens. He learns that love is not possession, that intimacy requires courage, that the greatest tragedy is not losing her, but refusing to grow from the loss. And so, the regret that every man hides is not just about the woman. It is about the self he abandoned when he let her go. But for the man who faces this truth, regret becomes redemption, pain becomes power, and the memory of the rare woman becomes not a prison, but a compass, pointing him back to his soul. Because in the end, as Jung reminds us, the rarest woman we meet is not only outside of us, she is also within us, waiting for us to have the courage to finally embrace her.